Welcome once again to the Cartoonists United Mixtape Podcast. This is a production of Cartoonists United, uniting cartoonists and keeping comics going with the power of community. In today's episode, we will be sharing the latest in comics news, plus an interview with writer Jim Harbour and colorist and letterer Lex Aleman about the upcoming comic Demonhand. As always, this podcast is made in collaboration with members of the Cartoonist Co-op, aka Cartoonists United. Anyone who is a member can participate, and in fact, members are welcome to send comic recommendations, roundtable discussion ideas, and more to podcasts at cartoonist.coop. That is podcasts, alias symbol, cartoonist.coop. Without further ado, let's open that polybag and see what's inside today's issues of the Cartoonists United Mixtape.
The Silver Sprocket Artist Collective has released a statement on Silver Sprocket, the San Francisco-based indie comics publisher owned by Avi Erlich. While the collective acknowledges that the publisher has played, quote, an important role in many of our careers, end quote, there are still unaddressed issues regarding payouts of royalties, communications with the publisher, and the treatment of the staff. The full statement is available at cartoonist.coop/sprocket-artists-collective-statement. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Cartoonists United Comics Mixtape. This is a special episode where I, Kelsey D. Crawford, will be interviewing Jim Harbour and Lex Aleman on their latest collaboration. How you guys doing today?
I'm doing good, Kelsey. Glad to be here.
Amazing, Kelsey. Thanks for the invite.
Marvelous. I'm glad y'all are doing great, and thank you for being here. I had given you some questions ahead of time, so I'll go ahead and start with this first one. First question: what spurred the idea for? There were a couple of comics that were shared with me. One of them was Demonhand, and the other was Shush. I noticed that both comics touch on themes of oppressive societies and the main characters pushing against those norms. But what spurred those ideas?
Well, whenever I'm doing like an action series or something about fighting, I want to think about why the people are fighting and what motives there are for fighting. And so with that, I take inspiration from the real world and the idea of fighting for justice. So I thought in both comics, you see oppressive systems and you see people fighting against them in their own unique ways. Now, Shah's a pacifist, while the characters in Shush the Other Side very much aren't. But you see them both essentially dealing with this outsized authority and how to resist against that authority. And I feel like whenever I'm doing anything with fighting, I want to really touch on the moral element.
Okay, awesome. I did see that Dragon Ball was an inspiration, as was Yu-Gi-Oh!
Right. So the main idea of how Demonhand started, that was looking at Illuminated's Toxic Park, which is this like cyberpunk mercenary story. And I was really inspired to try to do something in that genre, but I was like, okay, what can I fill this genre space in? Things that haven't been done before, things that might be unique. So I decided to do it in a manga style that wasn't just the individual style we had from John, who did great work on the pencils, but also the story structure. It's done with the Kishon Tenketsu, which is a 4-act Japanese structure. So all the beats and rhythms of the comic, both in this issue and future issue of Demon Hand, are going to be based around that 4-act structure. And of course, there's little manga flourishes, like you have a rival in blue who's an aristocrat. You have a hot-headed hero in red. You have the transformation sequences, the naming the attacks. A lot of that was from like the manga energy. And then because I'm really interested in historical cultures, I decided to put it in this alternate universe, alternate timeline version of Earth, where all sorts of history is smashed up. So you have the ancient Egypt fighting the British Empire, all with advanced technology. So that's kind of the energy I gave. And while you see Sir Reginald Kane with that blue jacket, or while you see Shah, having an ancient Egyptian name, Sean.
Nice. Lex, throwing it over to you. Am I right in remembering that your role is that you are a penciler, inker, or is there a different role that you go by?
Actually, neither of them. I'm the colorist and the letterer of the stories.
Oh, gotcha. What were some particular creative challenges with this most recent project that you remember being like, ooh, this is fun, but also, ooh, challenge accepted? Was there anything like that you came across in this comic?
Yeah, well, actually, some of the things, the inspiration that Jim is talking about, I've never heard that before. I was quite blank, only with the script, therefore trying to make something fun, exciting, make every panel pop up. And while we have some pages that are more interesting, for saying so, I need to follow the storyline and how some characters are more important, or the power-ups or so. So for me, it was quite challenging to do that, to follow that guide while creating something new with the colors, basically.
And you did the colors for Demon Hand, correct?
And also for Shush.
You did real good color work on both of those, I gotta say.
Oh, thanks.
Page where we're on the city.
They were very different. The approach for both of those comics was very, very different.
What made it different?
For example, for Shush, as we have no dialogues, no written words, I wanted the colors to express among the lines of Ryan, as far as I remember the name, Ryan Tavares. I needed to make them as expressive as possible.
Heck yeah. That certainly came across.
While on Demonhand,
yeah.
I tried to be this mix between manga, comic, webtoon stuff to make everything more vibrant, more sci-fi, more high-tech.
Nice. Jim, actually, circling around to the writing, because you wrote Shush as well as Demon Hand. Since Shush was entirely wordless, I have to ask, as somebody who also writes comics, do you find writing wordless comics easier or harder to do?
So it's interesting because on the surface, you think it might be easier because, you're not doing little words, but that means so much of description is pulling the weight. So for Shush, instead of a traditional panel-style script, what I did was a long, prose breakdown. And I made sure, if you look at Shush, it's reflected. So on one hand side, you have one of the tribes, on the other hand, the other tribe. And that reflection was broken down in the outline. So the outline looked like, okay, they pick up the vegetables, then they go to the recruiters, they join the army, then they look at the mural, but it was said, okay, mirror it and make sure they're pointy here, they're round here. A lot of that was John's work, the pencil and inker on that was Ryan's work on Shush. A lot of that was Ryan as the penciler's great work on Shush. that allowed it to really pop. So I had a great partner there where I knew I could say, here's the layout I want to do, here's the concept, no dialogue, mirrored on each side. You can see the similarities. And he just really took off with that. So it was a lot easier because I had such a great partner on that.
Nice. I did see that you both worked on Demon Hand and Shush. Were there other projects that you both worked on together?
Yep. What was the name of the blue guy with the fire?
Yes, Legend of the Starfist. We did Legend of the Starfist together too, which was this martial arts sci-fi epic that was our first collaboration together.
I thought that one, like, first of all, kudos to you for having the main character of that be like going by they them pronouns, because I saw that in the alt text. Hugely appreciate that. Thank you. But it was one of those comics. It was the first one that I read out of the bunch, and I thought it was fascinating for a lot of different reasons. Maybe we'll get to that later. But I also wanted to ask, since we're on the topic of like creative teams, because you mentioned that, Jim, you work with different pencilers and inkers, but Lex has done colors and letters. So do you two tend to work together more often, or do you change up the team with each new project that you're working on? What inspires you to choose one collaborator or another to work on something?
Well, usually whenever I go for a collaborator, hopefully one that syncs well with material. So when a lot of times when I'm first talking with artists, I'll have several different concepts that I have cooking and say, hey, which of these catches your eye? Which do you think would work better for you? Do you think would go for? I think I actually, for Demon Hand, I sent John 2 different concepts, and Demon Hand's the one that really took off with him. And you can really see that with that exuberant manga, cartoony, action sci-fi style put on it. Ryan was very similar. Ryan was able to be very technical with all the frames and the layouts and the paneling. So far, I really, really, really like the work Lex does on colors. I think I'm going to be trying to work with Lex a lot more in the future for colors, especially just because of it's not like the normal stuff. Like when I got the Demon Hand pages back, it reminded me of when an oil split happens and you see like the purples and the greens and the dark hues, all mixtures, and it put that all on the page like radioactive sunsets. And so that like a coloring skill, or like what was said earlier with Shush, where you're using the colors to sell character emotions and details, that's kind of what I look for, especially with Shush, because everything's so color-coded. Being able to make all these reds and these blues contrast perfectly was, really technical.
You hear that, Lex?
Yeah, and I love it. And you must know something, Jim. I'm quite color blinded.
What, really?
Yeah, I cannot differentiate some of the values between red, pink, orange, magenta, or greenish, bluish tones. I cannot quite tell them apart.
If it helps you feel any better, my grandpa knew a painter who was also colorblind.
Really?
His was the kind of color blindness that his wife had to label the paint jars what colors they were so that he knew what to work with, because he couldn't tell what color shades they were.
It happens something similar to me.
Yeah.
I know by sounds of the color wheel. Like, this is a yellow, this is an orange, but it's quite intuitive. For me, it's like, if it works, it works. I don't know, the trees are blue and my sky is green. And so, thanks for appreciate that.
Heck yeah. Hey, if you found a system, that's great. We could actually, for other members of the Cartoonists United who might also be colorblind, what are some tips and tricks that you might have for working with colorblindness and working with color?
At first, I hated to work on colors. I just did before meeting Jim. I only worked with grayscales.
Also valid.
Yeah, I think that helped me a lot to understand values more than tones. Therefore,
for
I can
sure.
understand light, shadow, and I think that if we have that vase right, you can do purple skin, orange hair, green suited guys, and they look great because there's a logic base behind the colors more than the color itself.
That does make sense to keep in mind like tints and shades and being able to work with those before trying to throw in like exact hues.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and try to keep it all in balance. I use Clip Mind Studio. I don't know the name, but
I usually go by Clip Studio Paint.
Clip Studio Paint. That's the name. But I love Fusion, the Fusion modes. So I always pick my shadows in pink and set them on multiply. Therefore, all my shadows will have some logic between them, no matter what the base color is. So that's another trick that's been helpful for me to being able to color.
Okay, now I got to shade up at least one comic in pink. I have got to give that a try sometime.
Yeah, do it. Also blue or maybe purple. It all depends of the scene. If it's
for sure.
Night scene, I tend to do more like a purple tint, while on a daylight scene, I try to be more like pink. Besides, pink is awesome.
I am growing to appreciate pink.
It's a fun color.
It can be, yes. As long as it's not on my body, it's a fun color to work with.
You said that's not my style.
Yeah, but that's okay. Oh, moving to this question. So this one's for Jim, but Lex, feel free to chip in. So you've been working collaboratively in comics a lot. So what was your biggest challenge when you first started working with others? And what's your biggest challenge now? Has it changed or is it the same issue?
Well, I'm going to quote Dennis Camp here, where he said that being in indie comics, you're like making yourself a small business. So having to go through the logistics, the payments, the invoices, the contracts, getting all that back and forth, getting schedules to line up, timelines to put up, making sure that drives don't get lost, or keeping the files together, because you only see the final comic, but, there's the grayscale layers, the PNGs, the PSD layers. And so navigating all of that definitely was a little bit overwhelming at first, but I kind of was able to learn on my feet. So basically nowadays, the only actual challenge is funding, because we got the workflow together. We have a great team, especially for Demonhand, which is having its Kickstarter coming up. We're going to be working together as a team for a total of 8 issues total. That's what the Kickstarter is going to be for the first volume. And then hopefully, if you like what you see on Demonhand, folks, you can use the Kickstarter to get some more Demonhand in your lives. Because right now we're ready to go, and that's the only thing stopping us getting some funding.
Nice. When is Demonhand going up on Kickstarter?
Okay, so Demonhand is going to be going up on Kickstarter in approximately a month. Because we're using the magic of time travel. By the time this audio is out, the comic will be up. There'll be a link listed below, I was told. And so you can watch it, read it there. And then about 4 months from now, we're aiming towards September-ish. The Kickstarter is going to launch.
Okay. Yeah, those links are going to be in the show notes for this episode. So, Lex, anything to add about what's the biggest challenge when working collaboratively with other folks, like then and now? Is it still the same challenge?
No, I think that the more you work, the more you learn, the more you put into your everyday. But I agree with Jim saying that one of the most complicated things in the beginning, actually one of the things that it's complicated for me, it's also the communication. Since I'm from Mexico, sometimes the words escape my mind, and I'm trying fuck, I want to say something, but I think that I'm speaking like Tarzan, and I don't like that. It's quite hard. So that's also complicated sometimes, because with Jim, all the communication. And so with Ryan before and some other folks that I had the honor to work with, it's everything. It's in English and sometimes in French a little bit, and it's like, no, please, God.
Yeah.
Oh, merciful God, help me.
Oh, I mean, I remember working with somebody who was based in Brazil, and it was unfortunately like a temporary contract that I was on, but I was awfully tempted to start learning Portuguese to try to make this guy's life a little easier.
No, and that's amazing. That speaks a lot of you, because being able to speak a second language, it's a must.
Yes.
Well, these days, while we can work with people all over the world. And it's very much appreciated that you tried to learn Portuguese in order to be able to communicate with him, because the better we communicate, the better results that we get. No matter what we do, no matter the process that we're in on a comic book, or even playing Dungeons and Dragons, as you said earlier, we can always have a better result if we communicate better.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's true.
This is giving me ideas. Okay, future Kelsey, at some point, have a future episode of Cartoonist United Comics Mixtape that has Spanish-speaking contributors to it.
Oh, yeah, that would be
amazing.
great.
I think that I'll be able to speak better in Spanish, hopefully, than I do in English.
Hey, sometimes I struggle with English, and it's my native language.
You're doing great so far, Lex.
Oh, thank you, Jim.
You are doing fantastic. Okay, so the next question that I have for y'all, let's start with Jim. So do you prefer doing short stories, or is that a necessity due to time limits or other constraints?
So usually, because a lot of my comics culture comes from direct market books and the like, or even manga, which are serial by their nature, I'm usually doing stories in units of 20, 22, maybe 16 as a chunk. Now, sometimes they'll continue. So, for example, with Demonhand, the first issue's out, and there'll be a second issue, which will be another 16 pages, and then so on with the third and the fourth, and etc. But that also means I can do one-shots, like Shush. Shush is an anthology, right? So the entire idea formed of doing different short stories with no dialogue. So that can have like a 5-pager here, a 10-pager here, 17 pages here, just whatever the story needs. But for something like Demonhand, which is a bit long form, even though it's going to be multiple issues, you can get a complete story in each individual issue. And that's the kind of, I guess, fractal way I like to write, where you can have a small chunk, but the small chunk also fits into a bigger whole.
Yeah, that makes sense. Just that's kind of the nature of comics, is that you just work on it one chunk at a time, and eventually you see the full picture.
Yeah, and that's why we're doing Demonhand in bundles of volumes. If you remember, I was talking about how it's done in a Kisho and Tenketsu style. So that means I want to splitting up to the eighths. Each volume is going to be 8 issues, and there's a planned 8 total volumes. So right now the Kickstarter is going to be for volume 1. And eventually I hope to tell the entire story over many years of the full planned out 64 issues.
Amazing. And Lex, you're going to be sticking around for all of that?
Hopefully.
You know, your hand's willing, right?
Yeah, as we say in Mexico, si Dios me da vida, if God's willing, I'll be here.
Yep.
Nice.
Okay, so question for the both of you. What are your preferred tools to work with, and which ones have you tried?
I'll go
first. Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Now I work with Clip Studio because it's a software dedicated to comic books and animation, so it's quite easily to work with. But at the beginning, I used to work on Photoshop.
I bet that was a leap to transition from Photoshop to Clip Studio Paint.
Yeah, at the beginning, I was like, what the fuck am I doing here? I don't understand any of the tools. My lasso used to be here, now it's here, and now I have all these parameters to configure the stuff, and I don't like it. Now I love it. Yeah, I can have all the tools that I need with the shortcuts that I need to make my life easier. But
Yeah.
it's a
Yeah,
process. Always.
I remember transitioning from Photoshop to Clip Studio, and at first it was like you said, it was like, what the fuck? And the more I used it, the more it was like, oh, this makes way more sense.
Yeah, it's a lifesaver, time saver.
And I keep finding new things with this tool as well, because it's like I didn't even realize that like the quick access buttons could be customized.
Yeah, I actually I have like 3 different filler bucket tools according to my
Amazing.
needs. So I love it. It's crazy to work with Clip Studio, and they keep adding more and more stuff that help us in our everyday life as creators or as artists.
Absolutely. I remember sharing the tip with a buddy of mine that because I don't remember which version of Clip Studio Paint this was introduced in, but Clip Studio Paint does allow you to open a different file in their, like, I think it's like an image preview type screen. It's in one of the upper corners, but you can open a completely different file, and you can use the color picker tool to color sample from that file and then work that on your current canvas.
I use that tool all the time.
Same. I had a buddy of mine that I shared that tip, and he was like, oh my God.
Yeah, because on Photoshop, you need to have all the files open or drag into your current file all the references that you need and turn on and turn off all the layers, and it's such a waste of time.
Yeah. Clip Studio just makes it a lot easier to work with.
Clip Studio, we love you.
We love you, Clip Studio. Jim, what are your preferred tools to work with?
So usually I start off all my work in just raw notes, and I put that on the Notepad app on Windows, and then I flesh them out, and then I go to Final Draft where I flesh them out into actual scripts after, and this is old school, sketching out the panel layouts on pen and paper. So you'll literally see me computer on the one hand, pen and paper on the other hand, and going back and forth with different layouts before typing it into Final Draft. And then after with Final Draft, if there's any special fonts that I need done, like, for example, later on in Demonhand, we use Ugarit, which is nice. I use Drama Queen. There we go. I use Drama Queen to go in after the fact and put in special text like, you know, Japanese, Igaric, or any type of symbols that I think need to be put onto the script.
I've never heard of Drama Queen.
In Photoshop. Yeah, you know, it's free, which is what I really dig about it.
Huh. I've never heard of this. I'd have to look this up now.
Yeah. Shout out to Drama Queen. Yeah, like really can handle a lot of fonts. That's what really did it for me, because I was trying to get Ugaritic to work in Final Draft, and I tried all these font installations and changing styles and everything, and it just gave me those little squares. So I said, you know what, let's try a different operator. And so I went with Drama Queen. So that's what I use, where the main bulk of it, I write Demonhand in volumes. So volume 1 was written in a big chunk in Final Draft. And then when I'm doing the individual issues, I take their little individual issues out the big bulk document, and then I touch them up in Drama Queen.
Gotcha. Huh. I'm going to have to check out Drama Queen, because right now I'm scripting a lot of comics with Obsidian, actually.
Okay.
Yeah. Also, shout out to Victoria Douglas. She actually made a plugin for Obsidian that formats for comic scripts in Obsidian, and she provided that tool for free.
Oh, wow. That is amazing.
Yeah. So shout out to Victoria Douglas. She's a Columbus, Ohio-based cartoonist. She's a real one. But now I'm going to have to try out Drama Queen. Thank you for the recommendation.
You're welcome.
Okay. Oh, in the vein of tools, follow-up question for you. When you both are working together, what tools do you use when you collaborate? Like, how do you share your work with each other?
Let's see. Usually we use like a Google Drive sometimes and WhatsApp, right?
Yep. Before it was Facebook Messenger to share screenshots or ideas or asking questions. So it's a very straightforward, a simple way to communicate.
Nice. Okay. Well, that exhausted pretty much all of my questions for the time being. Thank you both so much for joining me in today's episode. So where can folks, let's start with Lex first. Where can folks find you online if you post anything online?
I'm actually, if I upload something with a big if, it might be on Instagram. You can find me there like LX. How do you say the underscore? I think under.
Oh, the underscore?
Underscore?
It's just underscore.
ALMN. Lex Aleman.
Nice. And Jim, where can folks find you online?
So my Patreon page, patreon.com/C/Jim Harbor, is where you see all of my works overall linked to it. And specifically for Demonhand, it's demonhand.the-comic.org.
Is it on Comic Fury?
Exactly, yes. I'm a big fan of Comic Fury. It's kind of my home away for home for putting my works out these days.
Heck yeah. I only just started mirroring my webcomic, The Legend of Jamie Roberts, on the Comic Fury. I do like it so far. And yes, this is a shout out to Comic Fury. And I also want to shout out that the Cartoonists United also did a workshop recently about how to upload your comics onto Comic Fury. So if folks are interested in resources like that, you can absolutely become a member. But Lex, Jim, thank you both so much for hanging out with me and chatting about comics today.
Yeah, thank you for having us, Kelsey.
Thank you, Kelsey. And all the people who's listening, keep creating.
Keep creating those comics.
Yes, keep doing them. It's great work.
Absolutely.
Thank you for listening to the latest edition of the Cartoonists United Mixtape Podcast. Cartoonists United is a multinational organization dedicated to advancing the art of comics and advancing the labor rights of cartoonists and comic artists. We are now over 1,000 members strong. To find out more, visit our website at cartoonist.coop. That's cartoonist.coop. If you are a cartoonist, consider joining us. We provide resources in the form of our resource library, creative feedback, members-only discounts, promotional assistance, and more. If you do not consider yourself an artist, you can still support Cartoonists United by subscribing to this podcast at podcast.cartoonist.coop or subscribing to our public newsletter at cartoonist.coop/newsletter.html. On that newsletter, we promote work by members of the co-op, new Kickstarters, new initiatives, and new merch. Thank you to all of our contributors, and until next time, keep making comics.